All right. Hey, everybody. We're about to get started. Cool. So hello, welcome to the new normal, a series of virtual discussions intended to help us get out of our comfort zones and debate different perspectives of the future. My name is Todd Terrazas, and I'm your host. On this episode, we have Marie Smith giving a talk on data-driven approach for reimagining institutions. Marie is the CIO and co-founder of Data 360, which specializes in providing a platform as a service for AI machine learning initiatives, projects, products, and services on Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure. She works with governments, enterprises, corporations, startups, and small medium businesses who are rapidly growing or pivoting their offerings by implementing new and innovative data models. Following her talk, we'll go right into the breakout rooms for 20 minutes. Afterwards, we will return to this main room for an open discussion. If you're watching this episode on Facebook, you can join us in Zoom by visiting thenewnormalseries.com. Now, without further ado, here's Marie Smith.
Hey, everyone. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to talk about data, how to be data-driven, and cover some basic concepts. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat during the Q&A. And we'll get started. Todd, can you see my screen okay? Let's see. Share.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you can't see my screen?
Oh, I can see your screen, yeah, just you.
Just me, okay. There we go. I think I'm sharing now. Okay. So, so this talk is called Data Driven. It's a process for reimagining American and global institutions. And we're going to talk about a tale of two worlds, kind of the world of the past and the world of the present. And the world of the past is really kind of a front-end world, right? Where all the decisions are made for you, they're put together for you, they're presented to you, and there's sort of not much you can do with it or share about it, or sort of ask. You can just kind of you can share in a basic way, but you can't really manipulate or create anything. Versus the present, where we have this kind of new creation economy where you can do things with data. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. So here are some details about that world, right? And so in data, we're really transitioning, and in the world, we're really transitioning between business intelligence, which is kind of what happened, and data science, which is what should happen. And the difference is business intelligence, as you see here, there's a lot of different descriptions, but business intelligence has a past lens. It's descriptive. It's about, it's kind of assuming the world is chaotic, and then we have to decide what it means, right? And then, you know, we're going to look at the past to try to determine the future. And what we found in tech and in all kinds of industries is that patterns actually are not just driven on the past, they actually emerge immediately into the present and on into the future. And so data science has emerged. And so it's like, why? What will happen? What should I do, right? So we're looking for patterns, not just based on the past, but we're looking for patterns in the immediate present and on. And we're looking at how we explore data. So it's focused more on capturing, right? And so to be data driven, kind of one of the first principles is you need to capture things. You need to put sensors, and you need to have people describe things, and you need to make logs and all these things. You need to gather data. That's one of the biggest principles you have to do to be data driven, right? And then we're exploring, we're experimenting, we're being visual. And most importantly, we're looking at how to predict what the future can happen based on patterns, how to be prescriptive, how to prescribe solutions, and how to be preventative. And these are the things that now most companies, bigger companies, Fortune 500s and global companies are focused on. How do we begin to do this? And right now, even your phone, your financial portfolio, your email, your social media, all these things are working on these principles of data science. You're probably not aware, but everything is shifting in this direction. So what does that all mean? Well, the internet is not just the World Wide Web. It's actually like a fire hose, right? It's constantly spitting out data, right? So getting information off the internet is like taking a drink from a fire hydrant, right? It's almost impossible, but now we actually have computers and systems and software to actually manage this experience. And so what that looks like is those come in the form of APIs. And so we're going to talk a little bit about APIs because that is the non-web way of getting data from the internet. And it's the part where you can begin to focus on how to create your own applications with all the data from the internet. So say, for example, you work with Google's API. You don't have to just take Google's interface and use it the way that they have it for the public. You can actually create new things with it, with the data behind it, I should say. And so there are a lot of different APIs out there. There is what's called rapidapi.com. There's another site called programmableweb.com. And you can see there's a lot of different types of APIs, right? So some of you guys are probably familiar with URL shorteners and that sort of stuff, but NASA has APIs, football has APIs, finance has APIs, there's scanners. I mean, there's just so many different things that have APIs. So just tons and tons and tons of APIs out there. You can look at rapidapi.com as a source and programmableweb.com as a source. So basically, it's like looking at the matrix, right? For those of you, I guess that's kind of an old movie now, but basically the point is all this data is streaming everywhere, right? And it's just out there for people to use and utilize in all kinds of different ways. And some of those become very, very important for reimagining how this world works. So it doesn't quite look like the matrix in real life, but the same concept, right? So this is one of the ways it can look, right? So this is an application that aggregates data and sort of talks about different terms and kind of where all the different pieces are happening on the internet. This is in a 24-hour period. So this particular query was about debit cards and credit cards and that sort of stuff. And with these particular terms, there were a lot of different platforms that were publishing at the time. So you can kind of see how the data gets visualized so that we can start to strategize and look at how to build an application around credit cards or debit cards, which is what this client was doing with us. It also looks like a spreadsheet, right? So instead of it being pretty and kind of all in the web, you can actually kind of read what's getting published on the internet, what's getting published around the world for any particular subject. So you can type in ice cream and you can see everything in the world that's happening around ice cream, all the top subjects, all the top influencers, all the top blog posts, all the top videos in every language possible. Anybody who's saying anything about ice cream in the time period you're capturing data from an API, you can get it. So that's fun. So this is kind of what happened, right? So, you know, in the beginning, we just kind of made the web, right? The front end was everything. And then, you know, starting around 2006, which is now almost 15 years ago, all these APIs started coming up because we started to realize that the hierarchical approach, right? So which is, you know, we're in the physical world still living in this hierarchy to some extent, right? Except for now we're all working from home. So it's a little more egalitarian, but, or a lot of us are working from home, I should say, all of us. APIs are kind of the same thing. There are the websites that publish data, and then there's the data itself. And so you can actually take this rising movement, right? It's now well beyond 20,000 APIs, right? So you can type in your favorite brand, your favorite anything, and type in API and then have one. Even shoes APIs, even flower APIs. I mean, you name it, there's an API for it. So this is not something that's going away, right? So this is something that is being put out there so that finance teams can look at companies and look at new ideas more rapidly instead of just waiting for kind of this trickle down effect, right? So this is the more accessible way of being able to build applications and build institutions and look at how things should be happening. So this is programmable web. They have a directory of about 23,000 APIs. When you can get a copy of this presentation, it has links in it as well, but it just talks about how APIs work, where you get the data, how you get a model, how does it relate to the subject of the hour, right? So the subject of the year, right? Coronavirus. So, you know, you can find APIs in a lot of different places. So let's take a look at COVID-19 data. So this is kind of the traditional search engine, right? So this is Bing. And basically with search engines, you know, they're a 20-plus-year-old concept. And it's an old school concept that just tries to present everything to you and guess what you need, right? So it's going to give you maps and stories. Same with so that's Google. Same with Bing. Everybody's going to try to give you kind of the basic information, but there's a lot of other information available in the new school way, right? So there's all kinds of APIs, all kinds of different places you can find data, and then you can present a view that may be important to the world that could be used on the news, that can be put in applications. And then you can go get that documentation, learn how to put it into a system, or grab it and put it into a spreadsheet, or work with a programmer and put stuff together and kind of say, hey, what would I like to do with this data? How can I help my neighborhood? How can I help my planet, right? So one of the things we had talked about in a previous AI LA event was Australia, when the fires are going, I guess they might still be going, but when the fires were going, people started building their own applications to talk to each other and to share information because they couldn't wait on the government to come up with things, right? Sounds familiar, right? So we can't necessarily wait on the authority to come up with something for us. We can actually grab that data, share it with our friends, share it with our family, help our neighborhood, help our association, help the different people we know more quickly than the government can. And then, you know, on top of that, right, since it's AI LA, you can take that and load it into different systems with Google, with Microsoft, with Amazon. All those companies will happily help you figure out how to build an application. You just have to raise your hand and say so. And there are plenty of classes and learning paths and all that fun stuff. And then Data 360, we just collaborated with IFundWomen and Caress to actually do something with this data for COVID-19. So we have a project called COVID-19 Search. And you can kind of see what we're doing with the data. So we're looking at, you know, how to help people recover with jobs, education, health, emergency, centralized databases, government innovation, right? Because this is not happening fast enough, and it's needs some more people to contribute. So the question is, what will you do, right? What are you passionate about? What do you want to know about? It could be anything, right? And you could take the API, right, the application programming interface of anything, any site, and any brand, any entity, and then add AI to it to explore a new way of looking at things and to actually help service people. So thank you so much, and check out COVID-19 Search. And if you want this presentation, you can go to bit.ly/data-driven-data360. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Marie.